It's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Boom, now we got this going. Hold on. Let's get that background out of there. There it is. And boom! What's up? Welcome back, goddammit, to another edition of Tell Me a Joke, the guideline of Chasing the Dream. I'm your host, Maniacal, Menace, Kyle Smith. Say the whole thing like a pimp named Slickback. And today, I got him again. He's back, goddammit. The boisterous one himself.
Yes, sir.
He's been out here on a tear. He's all busy all summer, and I'm surprised. He's here sitting with me. I got a little time from him, so put y'all hands together for Chief Ikenna.
Yeah.
There you go. There it is. Clap it up. Come on. We on it.
Yeah,
We on it. Hell yeah. What's been up, man? How you been?
Man, busy,
Yes,
man.
sir.
You know what I'm saying? Outside of poetry, man, I'm ready to get my acting up. Content creating, the usual.
You have been all over. So how does it feel?
It feels busy. I think I asked for this last year, but I wasn't prepared for what was coming. So now that it has happened, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, all right, you're going to be busy.
We in it. Let's get it.
So it's like, stay busy all day, every day. So it's like, dang, man. All right, got to make a schedule now. Because normally, it's like, okay, I remember the dates.
We adulting.
But we got to make schedules now. And then we got to schedule sleep times, study times. I'm busy.
Oh,
busy,
my goodness.
Busy.
The busy is nice. I love being busy. Like, so you say it's more of you're more acting and everything now. Right?
Yeah.
So and also producing.
In a way. Well, I still do my art of poetry show. So,
exactly.
That's the show I'm still working on. I'm still trying to. I literally just had a conversation about it this morning about like where do I want to go with it as far as like who the type of audience I want to bring in their space.
Yeah.
Do I want to just do poetry now? Do I want to actually stick to like broader, going more outward with it, like have rappers, singers, dancers, and really just making sure that like people aren't there, I really want to give people a space that people may not find on a regular basis.
It's an amazing space to say. I mean, the African history,
the Houston Museum of African American Culture.
Yes,
sir.
Oh my goodness, it's a mouthful.
Literally,
but you in that thing, and I've done it one time, and the space is very beautiful.
Yes, sir.
It's like compared to the places that are actually out here, you actually have a spot to where it's like, oh, this is. Like I brought my parents there,
Mm-hmm. And the cool thing about it is, it's free, right? A lot of times
you express that free.
You can't afford not
get
to
the
buy
bodies
it.
in the seats,
right? I think that a lot of times we either get nervous because of ourselves, or like there's a lot of people I know that come into the space are very they don't know what to do. Right? They don't know if they should perform a poem, not perform a poem, right? And as a person who started in the poetry community, like, I guess 3 years ago, it was kind of hard because I didn't know where I fit in, where I belong, right?
Yeah.
Because some people might feel intimidated by the fact that, like, there are 15 people that might go before you, and then you have to go and you don't got to memorize like them, or you ain't performing like them, right? I think that space gives the people an opportunity to be like, hey, come into space, be yourself. We are not a big crowd. We are very small. You've been in the space.
Yes.
We're very intimate. So this allows you to just perform for your family and friends the way you would like to do it without all the lights, the camera, the glitz, the glam, and just be yourself, right? And so I've been really trying to branch out more into those spaces because I really want to give the opportunity to everybody.
Yeah.
Right? I think that as poets, we have now built ourselves in a community where that space is every day, anywhere, anytime, right?
Yeah.
But for a lot of different type of artists, I think they want to do it, but they haven't fully figured out what that would look like.
Right.
So,
That is. I mean, it's amazing to see the progression of everybody that have like came up along with in this scene, and I look at it now because more people are doing like on the grand scheme of things, they're doing like really big things, and I'm like, man, this is I didn't notice. I didn't know it was this much into this.
Yeah.
Like this, it amazes me to see where people are going from this, and that like so many people are like, oh, I've always wanted to be on this stage. I've always watched people. I've grown up watching people on this. I'm like, damn. I know it's been around for a long time, but I mean, I didn't know it was like that.
Right.
You know.
Right. And the cool thing about it is like, I like to give people the opportunities too. So like I wouldn't just feature people who have been doing this for a minute.
Right.
But also I want to give people who haven't done this for a minute, right?
Right.
I tell people all the time, and I'm always use that as the clout for me. I gave UCJ his first feature at Art of Poetry. You know what I'm saying? Like,
come on.
So, you know, I'm not gonna take clout for him. He's great. He's gonna always be great.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I can say,
yeah.
if you see UCJ, where was his first feature at? It was at the Houston Museum of African American Culture for the Art of Poetry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's very special because when I first met him, he was just coming as a regular person, not really performing in a big crowd, but still performing. And I think that people just enjoy this space. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's free, right? Then on top of that, it's not a lot. It's really just like a community space.
Yeah.
We got wine, complimentary wine, drinks, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that the opportunity is being presented in a space where it's like, hey, y'all, like, this is a museum for you, right? Like, when do you get a space that is created literally for you to do what you do best, right? I think a lot of people do poetry in venues and, you know, we make an art out of it, right? But to actually perform inside a museum,
right,
literally created.
Right. Exactly. That's the main key right there. I'm like, yo, just to say that this is where you're at. It's like going to the House of Blues. And motherfuckers, just because it's the name of the House of Blues, people are like, oh man, that's amazing. And to be saying that you are in an actual historical museum, it's like, oh, this feels right.
This feels right. And the only African culture museum in Houston, right? The only one in Houston that's not government funded, right? So we are privately funded. It's so much to it that, and I tell people all the time when we start this event, like, donations matter. Please donate to your house because your donation, the dollar makes the light stay on, makes the Art of Poetry happen, right? So the more we can put people in that space, the more we can allow us to clean up our own house, the more it can be it can be whatever we want it to be. Yeah. You know, and I think that matters for the Art of Poetry. I think that's really what I want to go with it. I want to allow it to be our space, right? And whatever that may look like. So like even now I've gone from open mics to slams. Yeah. Right. So now I can say I'm one of the few places that does slams more often when it comes to poetry spaces. And it's so much now that our slams are like wrestling matches, right? So now now we're doing a slam belt, right, where the person who wins the slam belt builds the belt, promotes the belt, and then comes back to defend the belt, right? And I think
the progression of these, come on, I love it.
Yeah. And it's really cool because it allows everyone to, you know, talk their stuff and do what they need to do.
In the beginning, I just thought it was just like, I never cared for slams. No. Like in the beginning. But I remember the first time I actually went on the wine poetry stage, it was a slam, and I was like, I just want to do my pieces. I know I'm different, so let me just do my thing. That's it. And you know, I did pretty well, and so I'm like, okay, this is cool. But you know, but now to see that these slams have gone from just normal slams to versus slams to body for body to people coming in with their props to like now you have these wrestling promos being cut. This whole Bars Fest situation between Houston and the transplants. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm waiting. I'm like, ooh, who gonna get shots fired?
Like I'm telling you,
who's getting taken down today?
Even when we did the old school, new school, that was
oh my goodness! This is really enjoyable. It is really. I'm glad to be a part of it. Like, because like when names get thrown around, like, and I've seen they got whole LJ Hamilton. I don't. This is a different side of LJ that I'm not used to. I'm like, I didn't know you were this type of guy. You out there cutting promos. You cutting friendships. It's like, what are we? You got receipts, my guy. I'm like, oh man. Then his conversation that he had with Red Lion, I'm like, oh man. And they bringing names up. I'm like, oh, they name dropping. Name dropping.
And what's cool about it is, Slam, when I first started doing poetry, Slam was just one thing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And to see what it could be, and not even just what it could be, but what the community allowed it to be, it makes so much of a difference, because now we're sitting here like, whoa, this is more than Slam, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to go to a regular Slam competition, and it's going to be the same thing, right? The same traditional rules, right? You go to any other Slam, but Houston found a way to making Slam like
Bars Fest.
Like Bars Fest, like verses, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, cutting promos, and not even just that, it's like then the post-conference conversations on live about the Slam and who was robbed, who wasn't robbed, who's next, who's not next, who should have been in that position instead, right? If I was there and I was doing this, I should not. If we have created something so unique that I don't think other places can replicate, right? And even if they're
just trying to hop on board now.
They're trying to hop on board, and I think that's what I really love about the way Houston works, and even the Houston community when we talk about poetry, right? Yeah. Like, we have our ups and our downs, we have our good times and our bad times, right? But when it comes to a community effort, we make sure that we make things a community effort. Yeah. We literally come together and just say, okay, you have an idea, let's see what it looks like, let's work together to make this what we want it to be. Right. And I think that a lot of I don't see that in other places. No, not right.
I've been other places, and I haven't been seeing it. I mean, the turnouts and things are nice and whatnot, but it doesn't. I haven't lived at these other places, but usually when you go to some place, you can feel the community. Yep. You can feel the energy of the room and everything. And I've been the places that I've been. I'm like, oh, this is nice, but you just didn't feel like there was any type of there's love there, but it's not a big community. Correct. To where it's just like, I don't think this is gonna go anywhere.
Correct. And I think that being in multiple communities myself is, I think Houston does a great job at all of it. I will say, like, for me, one of the biggest things I would like to do, and in the future, is I would like to find a way to bring these communities together, right, in some form, shape, or fashion, for just like bridging those things, right? Like, because I do acting, and acting community the same way, right? Like, they have turned what is normal theater plays and productions to like these creative artistry. Like, Joe P does a amazing job at doing that, right? He turns poetry and make it into a actual like theater production, right? And I think he does a great job at that, right? And I think that should exist in both the poetry world and the theater world, right? Like, I think the theater and poetry world has been always finding a way to connect, but never really figuring it out what it looks like. I think Joe P does a good job at knowing what it looks like or what it could look like. And I'm always going to be on board with what he does, because even myself, I want to do the same thing. I want to create a one-man show through poetry, right? I want to be able to perform that in poetry spaces and theater spaces, and bringing it to theater groups, bringing it to poetry shows, right? Like, I want to allow myself to be a vessel in those, bridging some of these gaps, even content creating, right? Just going out, right? Maybe not a day where we're doing poetry, but maybe a day we just go out, and then out of nowhere, we in the city of Houston, like the center, we in the what's that park name? Memorial Herman? Memorial Herman, or Herman Park, all the, and we just doing poetry, right, for the community. City Hall, doing poetry for City Hall, right? Just allowing ourselves to be in the space, right? And creating, and like, but Houston is good for that. Like, it's really, really good.
Yeah, people in Houston turn out. Look, they definitely come out for shit. Like, if you put something on, they'll definitely come. They're gonna come. Especially if it's accessible. And I mean, and it's a good vibe. Motherfucker, Houstonians love a good vibe.
They want a good vibe because a lot of stuff that's going on in this world, like it's like where the vibes at, like where the place to be at, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone wants to know where's the now, right? Like what's next, right? Everyone's in the moment, but a lot of people want to know what's next. Where's the next vibe at? Where's the next groove at? Where's the next party at? Where's the next club at? Where's the next lounge at? Where's the next poetry event? Where's the next theater? Where's the next content place at? Like everyone wants to know what's next in Houston, and I think Houston does a good job of. Everyone does a good job of just.
They provide. They're starting to provide for that more. Like I'm seeing that they have more spaces where you can do open areas for podcasting or for camera for video shoots and whatnot. Like they have these places that are starting to pop up now.
Correct.
Where it's just like, oh, if you don't have the funds to go do, like they have this place that's helping out with that, and I'm like, okay, I see I see the shift.
Yes,
like shit is shifting down here, and I'm loving it.
And you know what's also cool is that if you can't find it, you can create it, and and people will just follow.
If you build it, they will come. And this is a place that motherfuckers will come.
And that's the thing. And so that's another thing about Houston. Houston ain't just about what you know, but about who you know. Right? Like, if you don't know anybody that's doing poetry, or you're not familiar with the poetry community, you would think there was no poetry open mics anywhere.
Yeah, really.
You just wouldn't. Right? But the moment that someone be like, hey, like, I do poetry, come out here, and you go to that one event, and
that opens
you're
up.
going to realize,
that thing's open up after that.
There's events every day. Oh.
Yeah.
Theater's the same way. Content creating is the same way. I didn't know how many content events are happening in Houston until one day I went to one, and they're like, so many content creators. I'm like,
really?
Oh, like, y'all really out here just making content. Right, and so that's the good thing about Houston. It literally is who you know, right? Because the moment you step in, you're gonna realize that, like, yeah, like there's a space for me, right?
Yeah.
And if there's not a space for me, I will create one, and eventually I will find that people in that community who enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because Houston is not one foundational place, right? When it comes to creating, it's not. You can do anything in Houston. If you like plants, if you like to make flowers, if you like to garden, there's a community that loves to garden and will have events just for that, right? If you like to just do acrobatic stuff, right? There's a community for that. Sports
Acro circus.
I didn't know there was a wrestling community here in Houston. There are so many. I didn't know. I just learned Booker T got a whole wrestling foundation, everything, and does events in Friendswood.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now I know there's Houston really. If you trying to like really get something off the ground out here, if you have a certain niche that you're into, because Frightmare's out here, the Houston Fright Fest, just like a Comic-Con or an anime, they have it just for horror. Yeah, and I remember before I even lived out in Houston that I came to a Frightmare, and I was like, what?
That's insane.
And that's where I've saw. I got to actually take the picture with the original Candyman.
Huh.
Yeah, dope shit like that. I'm like, okay.
That's live.
So I realized that, Houston is a mecca for things like that. If you got an idea and you think you can hold it down, come on, bring it down to Houston.
Come to Houston.
Yeah, everybody and mama come down here now.
Oh, yeah,
anyway.
guaranteed. Because Houston is one of those, to me, a stepping stone for a lot of people. A lot of people will find where they want to live and make their living off of it, but then they're like, I need a bigger city. I need somewhere that I can explore, that people will show up, that people will show out. Houston. And then they come back and realize, man, like, I'm living big in Houston. Everyone's like, oh, man, I saw you in Houston doing X, Y, Z. You're in Houston. And it's like, yeah, but like, I was just in Houston doing the same thing. Like, wherever I was at, I was doing it. I just moved it to Houston. And it became a thing, And Houston is good for just making things a thing. Right, like it don't matter what you do. It's a thing. Okay, bet we following. Like,
when your workload started to build, did the pressure gradually come onto you, or did it like hit all at once?
For what exactly?
For like you all the things that you have happening now, like all the, like your plays and the producing of the shows and all that. Like, how are you dealing with all of that together? Because you busy this whole summer. Like, so how?
Man, okay, so like I said, I think that I I prayed about being booked and busy. That was my goal this summer, right? I wanted to be booked and busy this summer because last summer I wasn't as booked and busy, and I had a lot of time on my hands, but I didn't want to have any times on my hand, right? I think because I was just everywhere at once trying to be like, hey, what you got? Oh, I like that idea. Let me do it, right?
Right.
Oh, you want to do this? All right, come on. I think I overbooked myself.
Yeah.
To a point where I'm like, oh no, like I got things to do, right?
Yeah.
And then I think what makes it even crazier is like I'm booked and busy in things I don't normally do, right? Like I'm challenging myself in a lot of these things that I'm about to do. And it's so unique because it's like I knew it was all happening during the summer. Mm-hmm. I didn't know it was gonna happen to this capacity, right? Like I thought I was gonna have, okay, I do this, I'll finish, a little break, then next thing, a little break, then next thing. Now, like they're happening in between each other. Like as I do one show, I go to another one like that same night, right? And then even rehearsal is like I may have rehearsal in the morning for one show and then go to rehearsal at night for another, right? And so I am grateful for it. I will say I'm very grateful for it. Will I do it again? Probably. I'm not going to lie to you. Probably, right? But I think I would strategize in a way where I'm going to be doing things that I know, and also giving myself the space to breathe and relax. So I'm giving my 100% in a particular thing.
Right.
I think I am currently spreading myself out a little too thin.
Yeah.
Where I may not be always giving my all, but I'm going to give everything I got, so that technically is my all. And what people might not see as my all is actually it. But yeah, did it all come at once? Answer your question, in a way it did. Like in a way it did. But I wanted that. I literally wanted that. And so to have it, it's like, okay, what do we do?
All right, let's hunker down. Let's get it.
Let's work on it.
Yeah,
you know?
I the same way. I at this point now, I'm trying not. I definitely want to keep abreast of things, but I'm trying not to like get overwhelmed with everything that I'm doing. I'm trying not to have too much on my plate just because I already got enough at home. And so I want to keep everybody happy. Right. And, you know, I want to be present enough so, you know, ain't nobody upset with motherfuckers. And it's just like trying to navigate that and work that and choose what I'm going to do and pick my battles. Okay. It's came to a point since I've done it for so long that it slowly progresses to where I'm like, okay, there's a show here. All right, cool. There's a show here. All right, cool. All right, another show here. All right, this is fine. You know, but it's not like, oh, all week I'm busy. No. I can't do that no more. You know, I remember those days when I was like, yeah, I got shit all week for this whole month. Boom, look at my schedule. And now it's like, there ain't no sleep in that schedule. Yeah, there ain't no sleep. Nah, I need sleep in no schedule. I need some naps in between these times right here because I can't. I need these bones to work like they should. You know, as I've gotten older, I've noticed that this progression it's got to go on my time. You know, I need it to happen on my time, and I understand that, you know, people have certain dates set for certain things, but you know, understand that, hey, even though you don't see me, I'm still out here. Yeah, you know, that's kind of how I want it, to where it's just like, even though, you know, I'm not very present, when I mention, people are like, hey, somebody to watch for. I'm like, okay, good. That's still there. All right, I like that. Yeah, this maneuver through this whole poetry scene that I didn't know was a big scene like this. It is. It's fun. It's fun to be, you know, be a name in that. Now you're one of those names in that lexicon of when it comes to people into poetry.
Which is good. Which is really good. I didn't think I was going to be. I really didn't. I tell people my story all the time. Like, I did not like poetry. I swear I didn't. I really thought it was poetic justice type vibes. Like,
That's how I thought about it too.
And so it was kind of not my thing, right? Even when I was younger, I was just like, I'm not a poetic person. Like, I don't write. I don't make my
Wow.
own stuff, right? And
It's crazy that you say that. So crazy that you say that.
I was like, I didn't care for it. It was just so like, to me. So when I left college, it was like I wasn't getting no acting gigs, right? I didn't have grad school. I didn't get in grad school, and it was kind of like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Like, what for real? What do I do, right? And I wrote a poem eventually, right? It wasn't the best, but it was one of those things where I was like, no, I can try. I'll write a poem, and then I performed it one day for like I forgot what event. It was like a little open house type market thing.
Yeah.
And I performed it. I read off of it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm
Yeah.
not about to perform this. I read off of it. It was cool. People thought it was alright, and I was like, whatever.
What
right?
made you write it?
I just because it wasn't. I didn't take it seriously. I mean, I didn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
I was like, this is real. This is boo. Like, boo. Like, this is not poetry. Boo. If I read it, I was like,
Just get this out of here.
let me do it. And then on top of that, it was like, someone was like, can you at least try to do a poem? I was like, but I'm not a poet. Why are you asking a person that's not a poet to do poetry? Like,
Yeah.
they was like, please. I was like, okay, let me write something. I kind of memorized part of it, but then I messed up and I was like, nope, let me go to my little notebook. And then one day I was just at work when I was working at my minimum wage job, and my sister was like, hey, there's an open mic at right about now. You should go to it. Right? Because she knew like I didn't have anything and I was kind of looking for what my next thing was.
Yeah.
And she was like, try the open mic. Just try it. You don't have to be there forever. Just try it. And so I was like, oh, right about now. Right about now. Like, D, right about now. Like, what, like, and be in mind you, at that time, right about now to me, I thought right about now was in New York. Right?
Okay.
I really thought right about now was in New York,
Yeah.
right? And the only reason why was it because right about now was so big, right?
Yeah.
Like when you thought about right about now, you thought about Ebony Stewart, Ruby Francisco, Black Chakra, Seven, Black Snow, right? Zach Blunt, right? And these are people who, when I was doing speech and debate in high school and college, we would have this thing called poetry interpretation, right?
Yeah.
And we would take poems from different poets and make like do their literature, but in our own interpretation way, and make a whole argument about it, right?
Oh, that's cool.
So, like, for example, I would probably take one piece from Ebony, one piece from Zach, one piece from Ruby, right? And I would weave pieces of their poems together, right? And make these characters out of them. And what will happen is I will use that to make an argument about, let's say, water and how water has naturally been connected to our ancestors, right? And just create this program about how we are naturally connected to water, right? Like, and it would be so cool. Like, speech and debate, like, we took those pieces, right? Like, really took them and do
Yeah.
it, right? So every piece I was looking for, whenever they was like, hey, you gotta look for your pieces, right about now. That's what you had to find. That's where you had to find poetry at. Right about now, Writer's Block. What's another place? Voice of Power. Like, we were taking pieces out of videos and turning them into performances.
Yo, that's
right?
dope.
So I knew about the poets, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I can never do this, but I like the literature. So when I heard about Right About Now, I said, it's in Houston. I said, wait. I said, this the first time? She's like, no, like, it's been in Houston. I said, it's been in Houston. Me and my sister had done poetry. Like, she did poetry prior to me,
Yeah.
right? But she didn't take it as far as I did. Like, my sister's powerful with words. But she was kind of once she did like probably like a year or two, and then she left because she went to grad school, right? And so when I jumped into it, I was like, okay, it's in Houston. I was like, okay, like that poem I did at that little shebang. All right, I was like, I'm gonna memorize it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna perform this. I want to perform it. I get there, and my sister's like, just talk to Amir. Tell him that you are Abigail's brother. Like, I'm sure he will help you out. It's only $10. I said, okay, cool. I get there. I'm like, hi, Amir. He's like, hi, what's your name? I'm like, Fortune. How Fortune, that's name? I was like, yeah, I'm Abigail's brother. And she's like, Abigail's brother? Oh my God, man, I'm so happy you're here. Are you going to perform? I said, that's the plan. He's like, man, I can't wait to hear you, X, Y, and Z, you know. And I'm thinking, he's just doing that because he's trying to get his dollar.
That's Amir. That's a very genuine person.
And so I was
Shout out to Amir.
Shout out to Amir, yes. Then shout out to Zach Blunt because when I said I fanboyed over Zach Blunt,
really?
I said, Amir. Is that Zach Blunt? Is that Zach Blunt? I said,
come on.
I sat there, I was like, hey, man, Fortune. I was like, hey, man, how you doing? I was like, hey, man, look, man. I've been knowing you since I was in middle school, man. I seen your pieces. I seen you work. Man, I just want to tell you, man, thank you for this opportunity. You're amazing. He's like, man, thank God, you know. Zach's playing. Man, you know.
Very humble guy.
I appreciate it. I said, nah, I'm up for like, you're the Zach Blunt, right? And then I did my first poem, and when I said that space was so welcoming,
very much
because
so.
there was so many people that it was their first time doing it. I'm like, oh, I'm a part of the new class of people who's doing this. So then that turned into doing slam poetry, and I was like, this is a competition?
Yeah.
I love competition. Okay, let me try to make poems. How many poems I need? 3. 3 poems? Because that was when he had the 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute. Yeah. I was like, 3 poems, okay, I'll try. And then he had the 2 minute the 2 poems. I was like, okay. So then I won my first slam. And I was like, ooh, this is good.
You won your first slam.
Yeah. I was like, I won my first slam. And then the next slam, I was like, I'm low-key lit. Like, no one can touch me.
Yeah.
And
after
then
a whim, I'm like, I don't know if I should write this down or not, but go ahead. I wrote a little poem, and now boom.
And I was so excited because I'm like, oh, no one could touch me in this poetry scene now. Like, I'm starting to be unstoppable, right? Because Amir hyping me up. Everyone like, dude, you got something on your shoulders. And I swear, again, at the time, I was just doing it for the competition.
Yeah.
I was just competing because I like to compete, right? And so I was getting a little cocky. I was like, I'm the stuff. Next thing you know it, this grown man in a Hawaiian shirt comes up and performs his butt off. I'm talking about he does a piece where he on the floor and I can't breathe. I said, who? I said, who is this guy? I said, he beat me. I said, who is this guy? I said, who is this guy? And then I tell something, I'm like, I come up there, I'm like, hey, what's your name? Man, I appreciate it. My name is LJ Hamilton. I said, okay.
The monster of the game. Yo.
And that's kind of where
that's
it began.
Boss level right there. Yeah. LJ is something else, man. This whole little slam thing, I didn't understand until I actually seen a slam that the type of strategy it takes. There's a strategy behind these competitions to where it's like you have to actually read off this audience,
correct,
and understand what this audience wants.
Correct.
Because not all the time the audience wants what you about to give them. Nope. You can come with a certain shit, but depending on what it is and what that audience is being I guess delivered. What they're enjoying the most is how you have to go ahead and portray what you're going to portray to them. Because man, and he pulls at the heartstrings. He's got that down to a science. I'm like, oh, you definitely you the big guy. You the guy that if you want to come and test your might, you got to come. He's Goro.
He's
basically.
a guy.
Shang Tsung.
And the cool thing about LJ is that like he just knows what his audience wants.
Yeah.
Right? Like he has a catalog. And that's the one thing you like when you doing slams. That's the one thing you got to come
need
in.
that catalog.
You need a catalog.
Mhm.
So don't yes, come with what you want to do, but don't come expecting to fully do it.
Yeah.
Because you need a catalog.
Yeah.
You need a variety. It's like going to a restaurant, right? Like, don't get me wrong, right?
Yeah.
If you gonna eat at that restaurant, you're gonna love the food that come with, right? But there are gonna be some people that may not like that same food, and you gotta know if your restaurant really gonna just have all these types of food. Like, you gotta know that people may not want to eat sushi. People may not like sushi, right?
Yeah.
But if someone gonna eat a mean steak, they gonna eat a mean steak. Some people may not like a mean steak. Some people just want a simple kids meal. You know what I'm saying? Hey,
I'm bringing that kids meal.
I'm trying to tell you, because the one thing about the audience members and what my indifference is, but at the same time I truly respect it, is that you really have to know that your audience may not know poetry.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But you know that they're coming for poetry.
Right.
Right? So you got to be different in so many ways, because it's like, yes, they know they're coming for poetry, right?
Right.
That's the common factor.
They don't know the levels of poetry.
But what type of level of poetry are you going to give them?
Yes.
Right? Because if you give them basic poetry, they're going to judge you like a basic poet.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's what and shout out to Scott Free.
Shout out to
He tells me all the time.
We go live.
We go live. You already know. He tells me all the time. He says, dude, your pen is good, right? Can it always compete with everybody? Not always, right?
Yeah.
But your pen is good. But no matter what you do, you will always outperform everybody.
Yeah.
Right? And he said, that's how you win. You will always it don't matter what the pen look like. If you outperform somebody, you gonna win every time.
Yeah.
No question asked. And I didn't really understand that until I went to my first National Poetry Slam competition with Right About Now, and we won. And I didn't understand that because one of the rounds we had, you know how they judge from, 0.0 to 10.0, right? It was a group that went, and it was a 5-person group, did a bomb poem, right? And then they got perfect 30s, right? And so it was like, okay, so now I had to go next, right? So I'm pretty much, it is this 5-person group going, I have to go against a 5-person group, right? Mm-hmm. So they're like, hey, do your eat 'em up poem. I need you to perform that eat 'em up poem.
Yeah.
So I go up, man, I perform like I had my rent on the line, like I didn't have nothing else tomorrow to live for, man.
Yeah.
I'm talking about perform perfect 30s, right? So it's like, yes, it is about the poem. It is definitely about the poem, for me, at least. But when I go up there and I do those poems, I have to outperform.
Yeah.
I must perform, right? Performance is what I live for, right? Like, I can do poetry all day, right? Like, I can do a poem, but it won't feel authentic to me if I'm not performing it. Like, if there's no sense of just authentically moving, authentically reaching, authentically, and that's just me. And I think Right About Now, I think Amir, Zach Blunt, Scott Free, We Go Live, all these poets, 8 Houston Museum of African American Cultures, because what I thought was supposed to be me going from college to acting or college to grad school turned into college to poetry, and the acting community knowing me through poetry to put me in the acting community, right? And I was just like, I
showed them your chops.
You
was
would,
like, oh, we want you.
Man, we wouldn't. If you told me before I even thought about poems that I would get my acting career through poetry, I'd have been like, you lying. Because I don't write. I perform, but I don't write.
Yeah.
But to be like, hey, man, your detour is your poetry. And so now I get to put these two worlds together.
Yeah.
Right? it's like in poetry, people are like, yo, you can perform. In acting, people are like, yo, you a poet. It's like,
Yeah.
like, you know,
The worlds combined.
Man.
Yeah. As a comic coming into the scene of poetry, like I definitely understood the scene of performance, and I was like, I definitely know what it takes, because there's certain things that you can go ahead and say, but if you don't have the performance behind what you're saying, you're just saying some shit. And so, like, coming in, I already understood that, and then I understood that the lane that I was going to take is going to be completely different from everybody, but also what I was going to bring was going to be a hell of a performance.
Oh, yes.
You know, and I feel real comfortable with that, because poets don't move the mic. Usually, people that do poetry, there's a mic stand, and there's always a mic stand there. And I don't normally see people walk around with the mic doing poetry,
right?
Because they need to be free with their hands most of the time. With comics, you'll see it. They'll move. If you're a seasoned comic, you know to take the mic stand, move that bitch out your way, because you don't need to be. This is your moneymaker right here. No need to be obstructed by nothing. So but when I was on comedy, when I did comedy, I still do it, but when I do comedy, I keep the mic stand there.
Yeah.
Just for the fact that I'm about to be all over the place in one place.
Yes.
Just to let you know, I'm going to be as if I'm 6'2", but you're going to understand it's just the height of the stage. That's all. 'Cause I'm a small man up here. So I definitely know how to go ahead and work that room, So when you come over into this poetry scene, like I've been in my bag writing certain things where I'm like, this can be silly, but it also starts to get serious. And I'm like, I want to get out of the serious spot, just because I know when it comes to these slams, that when you can come and shake up the room by doing something that's out of what everybody else is doing,
it makes a difference.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
Yeah.
It really do. That's why people can't touch you when it comes to that comedy poetry, man. And shout out to Ken Jones, Ken Jones comedy, right? Like he's doing that, right? Like, and I feel like he's doing a good job at that, right? You have to find, especially when you're dealing with competition. You know what I'm saying? Like at an open mic, be free to do whatever you want. But if you're talking about competition, right, you have to find a way to be different. Now, there is times where poetry just will win, right? Yeah. Like just authentically natural poetry, right? There are times where the pen is stronger than the performance, right? Because people relate to it. But I tell poets all the time, I think a lot of times as poets, we want to perform for ourselves. Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah. We want to have our pens for ourselves. And when you're dealing with an audience, especially in the poetry community where artists or audience are not familiar with poetry, you have to find a way to really, and I wouldn't try to put it in a dumb it down way, but more like you gotta be very on the nose with poetry when it comes to your audience, right? Yeah. Because some of the things you're saying is like a song lyric, right? A person won't know what you're really saying, what this person's saying. They gotta hear it a couple times, right? And be like, oh, I get it, right? And then there's the songs that's like, oh, he said it right there, because it's right on the nose with it, right? With poetry, you got to do the same thing. Some of your poems got to be right on the nose with it, right? So if you're talking about water and poetic water and all these things, and you're moving and doing such and such and such, right? Some people will get it depending on the audience that you're dealing with, and some people won't, right? But if you're directly relating to water to something else, and it's like, right, you in your bag, you talking about this, you talking about that, you say something clever, boom, like it.
Strategy.
It's strategy, man. It's so. That's why I really appreciate battle rapping, because battle rapping is one of those things where if you know, you know, and if you don't, you don't. But a lot of people know, right? Like with battle rapping, people, what they say,
it comes with so much conviction behind it. And it's just like, oh my goodness, you thought about it. I know they get like months to prepare for these, but the slaughter that comes behind these,
my God,
these lyrical assassins. It's
Oh
just,
my
and
God.
that's kind of the thing that I try to mold my comedy poetry behind, just because they are so good with that, and I don't want to be malicious.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's why it's just like I need to find a good balance to where I can be like, okay, this is funny, and I ain't making fun of a certain group of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want it to be for everybody. You know, everybody can catch this pen work. You know, that's how I want it to be. But when it comes to that battle rap shit, I'm like, ooh, man, I don't want to get in that realm. I think about it and I prepare myself, so I write things that I'm like, oh, this would be good for this person. But I keep it in the tuck and I don't say nothing about it.
I don't do it. I don't know.
parts of it.
For some reason, my poems, I try to do that, but it just doesn't work for me. It don't. But I will say, like, I write to perform every time, right? So if I'm not, there's a lot, like I have a lot of poems that I don't think I would ever just put out in the public to perform.
Yeah.
More rather like maybe put in a book, right?
Yeah.
Because those poems weren't meant to be performed, right? But I write to perform. So at one point I was thinking about, I'm going to perform this eventually.
Yeah.
And it just never got off the ground, you know? But I think that with battle rapping, you miss me with that. You miss me with that.
You know,
I don't do it.
You know, my grandmother's poem was supposed to be one of those poems that was never supposed to see the light of day. And I was never. It was just like, what is this? This is crazy. Why would I say some shit like this? And it was one of people's favorites. Now and it's like,
oh my God, yes.
I'm glad I put this together. I'm glad I put this out there like that, because now I feel good about it. But also, I don't know if I can get into that absurdity again.
Okay.
Like I can, but you know, I don't want to keep making the same shit. So it's just like, I don't want to Lou Bega myself. You know, Mambo number 5. We're gonna go ahead to 6, 7, and 8. You know, and call it some other different shit.
Right.
I something's gonna click. And I'm just waiting for it. I'm waiting for it to click, you know. And once it does, bitch, you better be ready. So
And don't you don't have to rush it. I promise you don't have to rush it.
No.
Like my Eat 'em Up poem, I tell people all the time, I wrote that years ago. I actually wrote that poem like 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And performed it at the first time they did a show at Rudyard's with Sharika, and like nobody was there. Nobody was there. And so I performed. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna talk about how big I am," and and it felt so flat. And I was like, I said, okay.
Testing it out. This
Put
is like
it up.
a good joke that you don't know what it's gonna do yet.
I put it up. I swear, I
What?
put it up. I said, I'm never gonna touch it again. Never gonna touch it again. And then I don't know what made me bring it back, but I think it was either LJ or it was something we did, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to bring it back, and it was in a slam, and I said, okay, I'm gonna bring it back in a slam, and then I was like, oh, people like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me perform this. You know, after I was like, okay, I'm gonna perform. I'm like, oh, okay, I can perform. Performance, yes.
Yeah.
So then after that, it went uphill from there. I was like, okay.
Yeah, you put it in the tuck. You tucked it away.
I tucked it away for years.
When I think about you, that is one of the poems I think about. There's a few poems that come to mind, but that is one of the ones where I'm like, oh, that poem is a monster right there.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those poems where I was like, God damn, I wish I would have thought of some shit like that. That'd be good. I just won't be there to perform something like that with you, just because you get there's so much in you to where, like, because you're talking about yourself, and to be able to present yourself as you're like, if you think I'm like this, well, this is the reason why, and yada yada yada, because I'm strong, and I'm like, oh, I love that I have a poem that I've just finished to where towards the end I'm like, I get to flex my muscle and shit. You know, I intentionally do shit like that just so I can be like, all right, pen work was great. How can I end this well?
Yes.
How can I end this well?
Yes.
Boom. There we go. That's the ending right there. Flex on these hoes. That's it.
Okay.
There's because of the way this community is and how things are going in this community, I have been silently to myself,
Okay.
preparing for a battle.
Yeah. As you should. As you should. As you should. Because
Yo.
it's gonna be one day someone call you up. I think I'm gonna always speak on it. You and oh my God, I had the name in the back of my head. Either you and Kev Jones, or you and Rooster. You and Rooster will make. Yeah,
I don't think I know Rooster.
you do. My potato with a what?
Oh, yeah.
You and him.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all two going head that.
Yeah,
I think
it was.
I did that,
we
though.
did. Yeah.
Oh,
It was a clean
man.
slate, but yeah, we did have one of those. We did have one of those
Oh,
battles,
man.
and people were like, "What is happening right now?"
Man. But I don't think outside of Ken, I don't think anyone really does it like that.
Well, you got Voice of the Black Sheep. She's one.
Oh,
Yeah, Banke.
yes.
Banke is also another person that has silly pieces as well.
Oh, shout out.
I always every time this gets brought up, because I know that it's kind of rare that you don't only see people that do comedy poetry. But shout out to my homie Joking Word, Kels Barksdale. Yeah, right. When you hear that, it's like, wait, Joking Word. Wait, what?
What?
Yeah. Fuck me up, because I was like, bitch, it's right there. It's right there, and you couldn't get it. I was like, oh, yeah. So commodity it is, but Joking Word, man. Shout out to Kels, man. And he's a person that authentically, that's one of the things that he does.
Huh.
Like, yeah, and he is nice with it. And I'm like, all right, brother. All right, that's one of my LA partners that I met out when I did comedy in LA.
Okay.
I mean, when I did poetry, that's when I was like, let me see where this poetry can go.
Okay.
And that's when I realized that I had some shit, because I ain't have much else. I ain't have many friends out in LA, and I was like, I need to find a community, and that comedy was treacherous, because they were out there doing some wicked foul shit. And I'm like, yeah,
Understood.
I don't
Understood.
I don't care for this. But every poetry scene that you go to, it's always genuine.
Yes.
And if you can definitely get in with a good crowd, you can definitely go places.
Yes.
Like I've been to places that this poetry has taken me to, where I'm like, yo, y'all doing it like this out here? Okay. I mean, but it still wasn't like a great community like Houston is.
Okay.
Like New Orleans got a great community when it comes to poetry.
Well, I gotta go there. I gotta check it out. I gotta check it out.
Amir, they finally taking wine down there, and they do it like once every few months or something like that. And it is hell yeah. So many people are coming out of there. I've just the trajectory that this poetry is taken. Like, it's opened my eyes to how I used to think about it before. Because just how you were saying earlier, you was like, man, I didn't give a shit for poetry. Like, poetry wasn't on the radar. But now that I'm in the lexicon of poets, like, I'm like, oh, this is a movement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. Very, very much so. And I think that poets don't get enough credit for it at all. I think that it is a movement where, like, I think poetry deserves its own type of Oscar or Grammy, or like it deserves that. That's what I think it do. Right? I think that we as a poet, I think the problem is though, we as a poetry community are trying to figure out what that would look like for ourselves, right? Yeah. I think we're trying to figure out what does finally standing up and being like, okay, we're gonna be one. Like, what does that look like for us, right? Outside of the prophet, outside of the audience, outside of the putting seats and tables, like what does that look like for us in the community, right? I think that we are slowly getting better at it, way better. I think that from the first time I joined to now, it's tremendously got better. I think we're still trying to figure out that one big thing that's like a like I shout out to Damien, formerly known as MC Lero.
David Sanders.
Shout out to him because for the Fred Hampton Awards, for him to be doing that, right, and giving homage to the poetry community, right? I think stuff like that needs to exist.
Mr. Poet downloading.
Right. Like, I think that community, like, those things need to exist, and I feel like everyone needs to be involved in it, right? Because we do our slams, we do our open mics, we do our features, we put on our shows, right? Yeah. But there's not enough there's not enough recognition happening in these poetry. There are so many events I see on a regular basis that are not being recognized, right?
Yeah.
Therapeutic poetry, him doing Smoke City, Red Room, Free K doing stroke of poetry, I believe. A stroke of poetry, right? Even when I'm doing art of poetry, what's some other places that I don't? There's a lot of places that just
It is opened up. It is definitely like the floodgates of poetry has opened up.
Like,
things are sticking too.
really bad. And so it's like, yes, 100% go to your wands, guaranteed. Go to your we go live, please.
So hard. That
go.
people, I hear about how people want to just be like, I just want to be there
I
in
just
that
wanna
room.
be there.
Yeah.
Go, like, please go to them. Absolutely go to those events, right? Because those are go to Black Snow's event. Man, people don't understand. Shout out to Black Snow.
Yeah.
Just how much of a pillar he is in the poetry community.
I hear his name all the time. I definitely got to get him on here.
Man, I'm telling you, Black Snow, people don't give him the recognition that he truly deserves, right?
Yeah.
Because, for whatever reason, right? Go to the Poetry Lounge, right? Those are your big names in the poetry community, right? But do not, and I repeat, shout out to Seven, the poet, man, just a legend in his own making. Shout out to the Qs, that's right. Even Black Snow, shout out to the Qs, right? Like, for some reason, the Qs know poetry, right?
Yeah.
But you got all these big events. Please go to them, right? But do not forget even the smaller ones, right? The ones that your friends are just putting on because they want to try something new, right? Don't forget about those events because they are trying to give everybody a space that sometimes you may not get at the bigger spaces, right? And I'm not saying that those bigger spaces are like, like you don't matter. No,
but
like
out here, the thing is, those smaller spaces lead to the bigger spaces.
Yes,
and that's the thing that I love right there, because that's one thing that comedy hasn't. They haven't done that well. Like taking the smaller rooms and actually going to those areas.
Yes.
You got to be on the street. You got to be in the scene. You got to check these places out and support. And then be like, oh, this person's doing this here because, hey, when it comes to poetry, these poets are all over. They all over. You're going to see them everywhere, especially at the Wine Poetry Spot.
Yep.
So if Wine is the big stage that people want to come to and be like, oh, when they need to get something off their chest, when they know they got something good, this is where I'm like, okay, I'm going to bring this here. But you know, if you're too nervous to go to that big stage, they also got to run yours on Tuesday.
Yep, exactly.
That's a more intimate room, less people. You know, and it's just like, oh, if you really want to get something off, see if something work, that's the spot to be. You know, and there's all this poetry going around to where that if you really want to start this is why this podcast is here. I be trying to figure out why the fuck I'm
even the podcast, correct?
Yeah.
But even then, right? Like you know what? And this is why I love poetry so much now, right? Because poetry lives in all spaces, right? You can't ever go to any other space and poetry is not brought up in some form, shape, or fashion.
Yeah.
Right? Like I do acting stuff all the time. And everyone's talking about poetry in some form, shape, or fashion, right? Even when I'm doing content creating, everyone's like, man, I'm looking for a spot where we can just chill and vibe and maybe listen to some poetry. What? Like, come on. Like,
listen to some poetry.
Writer's block is another space,
now.
right? Shout out to AJ McQueen, right? Like, and I will say AJ McQueen was one of those people growing up. I don't know if he remembers me now, but when I was at Hastings, I was a young kid doing speech and debate, and he used to come and host our Black History programs. And he used to be like, hey, man, have you ever thought about doing poetry? I said, heck nah. Heck nah. I ain't never. He was like, man, look, I know, but you gotta try. Think about it, man. Think about it. And so for him to do it, and it's like, okay. Like now I'm grown up, and I'm like, okay. I see what he was talking about, right? And the cool thing about it is if you go to Juan, like let's say you don't go to Juan, right? Let's say you want to start off in a small space.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, everyone that goes to Juan is also going to these small spaces.
Small spaces, yeah.
All you need is one poem at one location.
Yep.
And it will set you up for life. in the poetry.
Yeah.
At least I can't speak for no other poetry community, but in Houston, go to one poetry event and just keep going to that sucker. I guarantee you, give yourself 3 months. Go to poetry events just once a week. One. It don't matter which one you go to. Go to once a week. And then after the next, I guarantee in the next probably 4 weeks, people gonna be asking
they
about
need
you.
a poetry site for like this. Well, everybody has their own little thing. Like, you know, you can go to certain, like Juan has their own little, but they need like, cause down in New Orleans we have a site that has all of the comedy that's going on. Even though they have their own little sites, they have the list of everything that's happening in the city. It's like it's like its own little zine, and basically it tells you everything that's going on everywhere in New Orleans.
Yeah.
When it comes to comedy, they need somebody. Well, I know the person that does it. Shout out to Jeffrey Gauthier. But they need somebody to come and do that. Not saying that I'm going to do that, but they need that just because poetry has become more and more of a thing now.
Yes.
And you can go ahead and get the hearsay from this person and that person, which will definitely happen because when you run into these scenes, this person's usually going to be here, there, and all over the place. So they need like one little central location to where you can find all this and what's happening, what's going on. Yeah, I think somebody needs to. But you know, if you don't, just go to Juan. Go to anything that Juan's
Just go
doing,
to Juan.
and you holler at somebody there, and they'll send you around.
Look,
because
or
it's a great scene.
Just follow somebody who do poetry, right? Like follow somebody who really just does poetry. I guarantee you will find a spot and they will direct you, because that's the one thing about what I also love about the poetry community is we're not gonna be stingy with our space. Like, yes, we want you in our seats, guaranteed, right? But we also gonna make sure that if this may not also be a space for you for whatever reason, school, time, work, whatever,
Right.
like we're gonna direct you to other spaces for that work with your time, because again, poetry in Houston is every day. Almost every day.
Pretty much.
Every day.
Yeah.
You got stroke of poetry on Monday, Tuesday, Juan, Wednesday, Juan, Thursday, you got art of poetry that happens once a month. So next week is going to be on other one, right? Friday, more than likely, either you're going to go to We Go Live, you're going to go to there's going to be a poetry event somewhere. Thursday. Saturday is going to be somewhere. Sunday, Poetry Lounge.
Poetry Lounge on Sundays.
So you
They
got
2 events on Sundays.
a
2 and 7.
Guaranteed. You got Tuesday, and this is for all the people that need to write this down. You got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday. Those are your poetry days. Guaranteed there is a poetry event. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Now, Saturday you may have it. Fridays you may have it. But guaranteed Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday. Those are the days.
Those are the days. Those are the days. Come on, get you some poetry.
Go on and get you some poetry.
Come on,
be blessed. Be blessed.
There's a lot happening in here. We have been the staple of this day.
Yeah.
People have been taking pictures, videos, and all that. It feels good to be center of attention and actually do some shit too.
Look, if you do, like I'm telling you, you do a podcast, you know, see some people come watch it.
I've been thinking about. I mean, they don't really ask or nothing. They don't really bother me when I'm here. But it'd be nice to come into a poetry event here. All the people that just come by and watch, like a little lounge session.
A little lounge session, man.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Ooh.
They have a little circle seat up here. You know
God,
what?
Man.
I might think about
poetry event with a podcast on it, bro. That's
And
low
right.
key,
Getting the wheels turning. I like it.
You might have me have an idea for my anniversary show, low key.
Okay. You know, hey.
Low key?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk about it. No. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it.
Yes, sir. Well, man, we've been here for a minute, man. So it's been good. It's been good to talk to you. I'm glad I got your time.
Yes, sir.
And, but before we get out of here, let everybody know where they can find you at, man.
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram, on TikTok. You can find me on Facebook. It is at Chief Ikenna. That is Chief IKENNA Definitely follow me for more events. Got Art of Poetry coming up. Definitely check that out for those at the Houston Museum of African American Cultures this Thursday. Doors open 7 o'clock. Show starts at 7:30. And then if you would like more information for the upcoming shows that I'm going to be in, as well as the shows that I am putting on, please follow my Instagram page for more information.
There you go. That's a nice promo. Like
Yeah. I'm working on it.
Hell yeah, man. Well, this has been the Tell Me a Joke, the Guideline of Chasing the Dream. I've been the Maniacal Menace, Kyle Smith. Say the whole thing like a pimp named Slickback.
Yes, sir.
And until next time, man, keep dreaming, jokers. Woo-hoo!